The race session is at Sebring International Raceway in Sebring FL, USA. Rene Robertson is P1 with 40 kilos on mediums. Eric Bohm from Germany is P3 with 80 kilos on softs. Dara Atkinson from Ireland is P4 on mediums. John Astrup from New Zealand is P5 with 10 kilos on mediums. Glenn Field from United Kingdom is P6 on mediums. Brian Patterson is P7 on mediums. Daniel Handke from Germany is P8 on softs. Emanuele Rusciusa from Italy is P9 on hards. Alex Amara from Ireland is P10 on mediums. David Forsyth from Ireland is P11 on mediums. Caio Paisani from Brazil is P12 on softs. David Kelsall is P13 on mediums. Mark Scott from Norway is P14 on mediums. Richard Ogden is P15 on mediums. Juan Ramos from United States is P16 on softs. 30 minutes remaining in the session. Race start. San Marcon from Zimbabwe is P2 with 100 kilos on softs. Glenn Field is P7. Dara Atkinson is P4. Brian Patterson is P5. Eric Bohm is P3. Daniel Handke is P5. Glenn Field is P12. David Kelsall is P15. Glenn Field is P12. David Kelsall is P15. Alex Amara is P14. Emanuele Rusciusa is P9. Daniel Handke on lap 2 is P4, 0.5 seconds behind Eric Bohm. Brian Patterson is P16. Daniel Handke is P4, 0.3 seconds behind Eric Bohm. Glenn Field is P11, 0.2 seconds behind Richard Ogden. Daniel Hank on lap 2 is P4, 0.2 seconds behind Eric Bone. John Astrup is P9, 0.3 seconds behind Emmanuel Rushiuza. Daniel Hank is P4, 0.4 seconds behind Eric Bone. John Astrup is P9, 0.3 seconds behind Emmanuel Rushiuza. Daniel Hank is P4, 0.2 seconds behind Eric Bone. John Astrup is P9, 0.3 seconds behind Emmanuel Rushiuza. Best lap is a 2:21.504. 14.340 off the fastest lap. Daniel Hank is P3, 0.2 seconds behind Rene Robertson. Emmanuel Rushiuza is P8, 0.4 seconds ahead of John Astrup. Eric Bone is P4, 0.5 seconds behind Daniel Hank. Daniel Hank is P3, 0.3 seconds behind Rene Robertson. John Astrup is P8, 0.1 seconds behind Emmanuel Rushiuza. 25 minutes remaining in the session. Eric Bone is P4, 0.3 seconds behind Daniel Hank. Daniel Hank is P3, 0.5 seconds behind Rene Robertson. Juan Ramos is P14, 4.8 seconds ahead of Brian Patterson. Daniel Hank is P3, 0.4 seconds behind Rene Robertson. David Forsyth is P11, 0.4 seconds behind Alex Amara. Daniel Hank is P3, 0.2 seconds behind Rene Robertson. Best lap is a 1:59.541. Juan Ramos entering the pits after 3 laps on softs is P16. David Kelsall is P12, 1.5 seconds ahead of Richard Ogden. Rene Robertson is P3, 0.4 seconds behind Daniel Hank. David Forsyth is P11, 0.2 seconds behind Alex Amara. Daniel Hank is P2, 0.6 seconds behind San Marco. Mark Scott is P15. Daniel Hank is P2, 0.3 seconds behind San Marco. John Astrup is P7, 0.2 seconds behind Kyle Payson. Daniel Hank is P2, 0.2 seconds behind San Marco. John Astrup is P7, 0.4 seconds behind Kyle Payson. Sam Markham is P2, 0.2 seconds behind Daniel Hahn. Kyle Payson is P7, 0.4 seconds behind John Astrup. Sam Markham is P2, 0.4 seconds behind Daniel Hahn. Glenfield from United Kingdom is P8, 0.5 seconds behind Kyle Payson. Sam Markham is P2, 0.1 seconds behind Daniel Hahn. Best lap is a 2:00.349. 0.808 of the fastest lap. Glenfield is P8, 0.2 seconds behind Kyle Payson. Daniel Hahn is P2, 0.2 seconds behind Sam Markham. Richard Ogden is P13, 1.4 seconds ahead of David Kelsall. Eric Bohm is P4, 0.9 seconds behind Rene Robertson. Daniel Hahn from Germany is P2, 0.2 seconds behind Sam Markham. 20 minutes remaining in the session. Glenfield is P7 battling John Astrup. Daniel Hahn is P2, 0.2 seconds ahead of Rene Robertson. Richard Ogden is P14 on mediums, 0.3 seconds behind David Kelsall. Daniel Hahn is P2, 0.3 seconds behind Sam Markham. John Astrup is P7, 0.3 seconds behind Glenfield. Daniel Hahn is P2, 0.2 seconds behind Sam Markham. Glenfield on lap 6 is P6, 0.6 seconds ahead of John Astrup. Daniel Hahn is P2, 0.2 seconds behind Sam Markham. Glenfield is P6, 0.6 seconds ahead of John Astrup. Daniel Hahn on lap 6 is P2, 0.2 seconds behind Sam Markham. Brian Patterson is P12. Daniel Hahn is P2 battling Rene Robertson. Kyle Payson is P8. Daniel Hahn is P3, 0.5 seconds behind Rene Robertson. John Astrup is P7, 0.6 seconds behind Glenn Field. Daniel Hank is P3 on softs, 0.4 seconds behind ReneRmotorsport-Assetto. David Kelsall on lap 6 is P15, 1.9 seconds behind Mark Scott. Daniel Hank is P3, 0.2 seconds behind ReneRmotorsport-Assetto. Glenn Field is P6, 0.5 seconds ahead of John Astrup. Best lap is a 2:00.684. 1.143 off the fastest lap. David Kelsall entering the pits after 7 laps on mediums is P15. Daniel Hank is P3, 0.3 seconds behind ReneRmotorsport-Assetto. Richard Ogden is P13. Daniel Hank is P3 on softs, 0.4 seconds behind ReneRmotorsport-Assetto. ReneRmotorsport-Assetto is P2 with 40 kilos battling Daniel Hank. John Astrup is P7, 0.2 seconds behind Glenn Field. 15 minutes remaining in the session. Daniel Hank is P3, 0.4 seconds behind ReneRmotorsport-Assetto. Alex Amaro entering the pits after 7 laps on mediums is P10. Brian Patterson entering the pits after 7 laps on mediums is P12. Brian Patterson is P12. Kyle Payson on lap 8 is P8, 1.0 seconds ahead of Emmanuel Russia. Alex Amaro is P11. Richard Ogden entering the pits after 7 laps on mediums is P13. Glenn Field is P7. Mark Scott is P13. Richard Ogden is P14. Emmanuel Russia on lap 8 is P8, 0.5 seconds behind Kyle Payson. Richard Ogden is P14. Kyle Payson is P8, 1.3 seconds behind Emmanuel Russia. Daniel Hank is P2, 1.4 seconds ahead of ReneRmotorsport-Assetto. Kyle Payson entering the pits after 8 laps on softs is P8. Kyle Payson is P8, 1.4 seconds ahead of David Forsyth. John Astrup is P6 with 10 kilos. Glenn Field entering the pits after 8 laps on mediums is P10. Glenn Field is P10. John Astrup on lap 9 is P6, 4.0 seconds behind Eric Bohm. Daniel Hank is P2, 2.0 seconds ahead of ReneRmotorsport-Assetto. Glenn Field is P11, 2.7 seconds ahead of Mark Scott. Daniel Hand on lap 9 is P2, 1.7 seconds ahead of Rene Robertson. San Markham entering the pits after 9 laps on softs is P1. San Markham is P1, 3.1 seconds ahead of Daniel Hand. Daniel Hand entering the pits after 9 laps on softs is P2. Daniel Hand on lap 10 is P3, 2.1 seconds behind Rene Robertson. John Astrup on lap 9 is P6. Eric Bohm entering the pits after 9 laps on softs is P5. Eric Bohm is P5, 1.8 seconds behind Dara Atkinson. Best lap is a 2:00.373. 0.832 of the fastest lap. San Markham is P5, 1.0 seconds behind John Astrup. Eric Bohm is P6. Emmanuel Rushiuser entering the pits after 9 laps on hards is P7. Daniel Hand from Germany is P5, 4.4 seconds ahead of Eric Bohm. Emmanuel Rushiuser on lap 10 is P8 on mediums, 0.1 seconds behind David Forsyth. David Forsyth is P7. Richard Ogden is P13. Ten minutes remaining in the session. Mark Scott entering the pits after 9 laps on mediums is P11. Mark Scott is P11, 2.1 seconds ahead of Glenn Field. John Astrup is P3. Mark Scott is P12 on softs. John Astrup entering the pits after 10 laps on mediums is P3. Rene Robertson on lap 11 is P1. Brian Patterson is P10 on mediums. Brian Patterson entering the pits after 3 laps on mediums is P11. John Astrup is P5, 0.2 seconds behind Eric Bohm. David Forsyth entering the pits after 10 laps on mediums is P7. David Forsyth is P7. Best lap is a 2:03.397. 3.856 of the fastest lap. John Astrup is P6. David Forsyth is P8. Kyle Payson is P14. Glenn Field is P10. Mark Scott is P11, 4.8 seconds ahead of Richard Ogden. Dara Atkinson entering the pits after 11 laps on mediums is P2. Dara Atkinson is P2. Kyle Payson is P14. Dara Atkinson is P2, 3.4 seconds ahead of San Markham. Mark Scott is P11. Dara Atkinson is P4 on mediums, 1.2 seconds behind Daniel Hank. John Astrup is P6. Dara Atkinson on lap 12 is P4, 1.9 seconds behind Daniel Hank. Emmanuel Rusher on lap 12 is P7. Mark Scott on lap 11 is P11. Rene Robertson entering the pits after 12 laps on mediums is P1. Rene Robertson is P1 with 40 kilos. Kyle Payson is P14. Rene Robertson is P1. Five minutes remaining in the session. Daniel Hank is P2, 2.2 seconds ahead of Rene Robertson. Dara Atkinson is P4, 1.8 seconds ahead of Eric Bone. Mark Scott is P11. Brian Patterson is P14. Mark Scott is P11. Brian Patterson is P14. Glenn Field is P10, 0.5 seconds behind Alex Amaro. Eric Bone is P5 with 80 kilos, 0.5 seconds behind Dara Atkinson. Alex Amaro is P10, 2.9 seconds behind Glenn Field. Eric Bone is P5, 0.4 seconds behind Dara Atkinson. Brian Patterson is P14. Eric Bone is P5 with 80 kilos, 0.3 seconds behind Dara Atkinson. Brian Patterson is P14. Eric Bohm is P4, 1.7 seconds ahead of Dara Atkinson. Richard Ogden is P12 on mediums. Brian Patterson is P14. Kyo Paisani is P13. Brian Patterson is P14. Eric Bohm is P4 with 80 kilos, 2.8 seconds ahead of Dara Atkinson. Kyo Paisani is P13. Eric Bohm is P4, 2.5 seconds behind ReneRmotorsport-Assetto. Brian Patterson is P14. Glenfield is P9. Brian Patterson is P14. San Markham from Zimbabwe is P1, 2.9 seconds ahead of Daniel Han. Brian Patterson is P14. Best lap is a 2:03.374. 4.170 off the fastest lap. Daniel Hand on lap 16 is P2, 2.4 seconds behind San Markham. Brian Patterson on lap 11 is P14. Eric Bohm is P4, 0.5 seconds behind ReneRmotorsport-Assetto. Brian Patterson is P14. San Markham is P1 on softs, 1.8 seconds ahead of Daniel Hand. The leader has just finished the race. San Markham finished P1. Daniel Hand finished P2. Kyo Paisani finished P13. ReneRmotorsport-Assetto finished P3. Eric Bohm finished P4. Dara Atkinson finished P5. Brian Patterson finished P14. John Astrup from New Zealand finished P6. Mark Scott is P11. Mark Scott finished P11. Emmanuel Rushiusa is P7. Emmanuel Rushiusa finished P7. Richard Ogden finished P12. David Forsyth finished P8. Glenn Field finished P9. Alex Amara finished P10.